This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Welcome back to Black and Privileged in America podcast, Power, Love, and Money Conversations relevant to Black thriving, sponsored by Infinite Resources. Catch Black and Privileged in America podcast on the Amplified DSM network, on all of our social media platforms, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Today is awesome. Let me tell you why. Because it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the beautiful Amplified studios, and my guest is none other than Rob Sand, Iowa State Auditor. He is the not lonely, but I guess only Democrat elected to statewide office presently, and he is a change agent. So please, let's welcome Rob Sand.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for having me here.
Woo-hoo. Well, I'm glad you're here. I said before we started to record that my mind is racing, and it really is for a couple reasons. Well, yeah, you're the only Democrat in statewide office right now. That's pretty interesting. We're going to go into that.
All right.
But this episode marks number 49. And it's my last interview of the season, of season 4.
All right.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of special that you're
honored.
Here.
Yeah,
thank you.
Oh,
so Rob, what do you do? What does an auditor do? Because I know
question.
I don't know many people who know what you do.
Sure. The easiest way to understand the auditor's office is we are the taxpayer's watchdog. So we don't audit taxpayers, we audit tax spenders, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So state agencies, we audit the state every year. We audit local entities often, but the private CPA sector helps us out with that because obviously we've got 99 counties, 330-ish school districts, 900 cities, and so that's a lot more than one office can handle.
Yeah.
We also do public corruption investigations, and then we do efficiency promotion. As of my first term in office, it was one of the things that actually really made me excited to run for state auditor. I had been working in the Attorney General's office, and so the public corruption investigations that the auditor's office performed would come and land on my desk. And I had seen a little bit about the office. I liked the people that worked there, noticed a couple of things I thought I'd change. But then it was realizing that the office had the ability to promote government efficiency and wasn't really doing it. It made me very excited about the idea of having the job. And so we created a program called PI, Public Innovations and Efficiencies.
Okay.
And the whole idea behind it is just helping people at the local level implement more practices to save money for taxpayers.
I have so many questions. On top, I'll just go with what's in my head.
Shoot.
I really should stick to the script. I'm trying. But okay, you said efficiency. So that seems important. Now I'm going to zoom out. Our incoming president has appointed 2 people or suggested 2 individuals to be in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, which would be like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Right.
How is, I don't know if you even know the answer to this, but how is what they will be tasked with doing different than what you're doing?
I think that remains to be seen. I am pretty passionate about government efficiency. There are so many things that people argue about. It is nice to have something that we should be able to be united on, right? Whether or not you want to save a pile of money and then do a tax cut, or save a pile of money and then hire more sheriff's deputies or fill more potholes, we're agreeing that we can save a lot of money. Great, let's do that. So I'm always excited about that. I hope that they would take a look at the PI program. A lot of what the PI program is just very non-ideological ways to save money, period.
I mean, non-ideological? What is that anymore?
Well, look, like literally one of them, I'm looking around the room right now, making sure that your furniture is not in front of your heating and cooling duct. I don't think that there's a party for that and a party against that. And that's only going to save you pennies.
Yeah.
But it's going to save you money. Changing your lights to LED light bulbs. It's a little bit of a outlay beginning, right? They're more expensive, but you do save money in the long term, and that's great for taxpayers in the long term.
I mean, I adore you, Rob. I feel like you're the right person at the right time doing the right thing. I feel like you should have a lot of friends.
Thanks.
Do you have a lot of friends?
I think I have a lot of friends.
In government?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Our job is checking the abuse of power.
You don't have a lot of friends in government.
I
don't want to say that. You should have a lot.
Their reaction to my work is something I don't control. It is something that they control.
Do you care, like when someone...
Not particularly. I'm going to do my job.
Okay.
And I'm not going to not do my job just because somebody who has presided over a mistake gets angry with me about it. This is, to me, I actually was talking about this yesterday in front of a faith group. I'm Christian. This to me is like Jesus flipping over the tables of the money changers at the temple.
I love that part. Yeah.
Thank you. You brood of vipers, right? People in positions of trust and power who abuse that trust and power over ordinary people to take more for themselves. I am not going to pull punches in the work that we do. I work hard to be fair, but there are some people in power who do not welcome accountability, who do not want the public to know the truth. And so they don't think of me as their friend. I think I'm doing my job, and I'd look at anybody else who's doing their job and say, well, you're doing your job. That shouldn't be a complicated thing to do. And let's be super clear. Most of the people who are in local government, cities, counties, school districts, when the auditor comes, they're like, thank you. We're so glad you're here. You know, this isn't the greatest week for you to be asking me for these materials. I'm kind of busy, but
there's never a good week,
right? There's never a good week. And we know you're going to point out where there's issues, and we would like to try to get those issues resolved, right? And so the vast majority of people who are working in these positions, and this is kind of why I like the PI program, they're trying to do a good job. And if someone comes in from the outside and is like, hey, this isn't getting done right, they're like, thanks. All I want to do is make sure I'm doing things right. I appreciate you pointing that out. And so one of the fun things about PI is we actually go give out awards, literal pies, right?
Oh.
To the winners. So I'll travel the state every year and bring pie to our best performing cities, schools, and counties. And it's a nice balance to lift up good public servants, because a lot of the work of the auditor's office is pointing out where things are going wrong, right? Which is inherently negative. Other people are like, oh, well, you're so critical. It's like, I'm the auditor. Have you been audited? You know, did you ever expect your auditor to come in and go like, you're great. You know, there's a bunch of things you messed up, but I don't even want to talk about them because you're so wonderful.
Oh, interesting. Pie. I love the idea of you giving pies to people.
Yeah.
I saw recently in the news that we are just after the 2024 general election, and you went to the Polk County Auditor's office outside of the office, and there was a plethora of people in line waiting to vote
for hours.
Up
to 3 hours.
Really? I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah.
But what did you do? Tell me what you did to support those individuals.
I handed out pizza.
You handed out pizza?
Yeah.
It was Little Caesars, right?
It was Little Caesars, which, you know, it's pizza.
Can somebody hand me our pizza? I've got something for you, Rob.
Did not.
I didn't get you Little Caesars. I actually care about you. So I got you Casey's breakfast pizza. Now listen, it's in individual little bags here.
I'm excited now too. I was excited to be
sausage or bacon.
I prefer sausage. Thank you kindly. This is amazing.
So we're gonna enjoy some Casey's pizza.
What is this gonna sound like if I eat this while I'm getting interviewed?
We're about to find out.
Okay. All right.
I am, and there's more. There's some for our team too. So there's extra. I hate to sit it on the floor like that. We don't have napkins or nothing. We're going for it. Right. So pie. This is pie.
This is pizza pie.
And I just wanted to understand like your rationale, because you got some heat for, making sure that those people were comfortable as they stood in line waiting to vote.
I get heat for everything I do at this point.
You were ready for, did you think you would get heat for that?
Well, I knew it was legal, what I was doing. We obviously took a look at that ahead of time. Because there are states now, and this is crazy, there are now states where you can't even hand somebody a bottle of water who's been standing in line to vote.
I heard that, and I was disappointed.
Yeah.
But this is who we are.
And so we double checked, right? You can't be there on election day doing a lot of things, but this wasn't on election day, it was on the day before, and you can't treat voters. But again, like to your point, like I'm excited about this. If you had handed me like a slice of Little Caesars, I'd have been like, thanks. but you know, like that pizza is like under $1 a slice. It goes to show you what the real value of it is, right? So yeah, we knew it was okay to do. I'm not there asking people, you know, telling people who to vote for. I'm not on the ballot.
Right.
I'm not.
You weren't trying to persuade people one way or the other.
I didn't ask anybody who they're voting for. I didn't tell them who to vote for. I just said, would you like a slice of pizza? And it was a wonderful thing.
How many pizzas did you buy?
10. 10 pizzas, yeah.
Okay. I mean, Rob Sand should have more friends.
I think I have a lot. I got friends in low places, you know.
So if you could audit one historical event to uncover a hidden truth, which would it be and why?
That is a fascinating question.
Thank
I
you.
have never, so I'm super practical. I've never thought about that question before, not for a second in my life. So I'm going to have to think quick. I'm going to start by saying this. My answer doesn't mean that this is the absolute, like if I had 3 days
Not to interrupt you, I'm going to
this,
give you a little more time to think because I feel like I'm swallowing so loud in this microphone. I literally heard that swallow and it was so worth it.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay,
for
good.
what it's worth.
Okay. Go forth, Rob.
You know, I'm struggling to come up with something here.
Well, we can come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go back.
Let me chew on that while I chew on this pizza.
So good. So good. I want to talk a little bit about our state government and, you know, the configuration right now. As it stands in Iowa, we have a Republican governor and a vacancy for a lieutenant governor. Where is Adam Gregg? Why did he leave? And who's going to fill that spot? Can you answer that question, or who should fill that spot?
Well, you know what I could do is probably name somebody and trust that the opposite will happen. So you've given me tremendous power.
I don't have any fake wood to knock on.
There might be somebody out there right now who really wants that job, who's just hoping, please don't say my name, please don't say my name, please don't say my name. Because if I say, you should pick this person, probably will be the kiss of death. Adam is now the head of the Iowa Bankers Association. He was in the lieutenant governor role, for 6 years. And, you know, he decided to go do something else. He's got kids pretty close to the age of our kids, certainly less demanding lifestyle there. And, you know, he'll increase his income. So I think he's happy
no
making
argument
his decision.
there.
Yeah, right.
But it seems kind of abrupt that he just said, you know, deuces, I'm out.
Sure.
And I don't know if you have any insight into that. No. Who knows? But
no, I don't really. I like Adam. I've always enjoyed my interactions with him. But I don't know much other than what I've read in the newspaper about it.
Okay.
I haven't talked to him about it since then.
Okay. Well, our governor is flying solo right now. In 2 years, there will be another election, our midterms, and her seat will be up for grabs.
So much pizza in my mouth right now. I can't talk.
Come on, Rob. I mean, Auditor Sand. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, you're an awesome leader. You're good at what you do. You also, you know, before I ask the obvious question that I'm leaning toward, I want to just point out that in your staff is made up of a diverse group of people, politically diverse. Can you explain how, as a Democrat, the only Democrat elected to a statewide office in this present administration, or however I'm supposed to say it, how you were able to reach across aisles and pull in different people to work with you?
I just think you do it because it's the right thing to do. And I want to step back too. So I'm the only Democrat in statewide office. Who says we're supposed to have political parties? Who? Better question.
It's popular wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if it's that wise. People should be organized. People should be organized around issues they care with in ways they want to change our community and change our state. But so much of partisanship becomes knee-jerk reactions. Like you could have the same, and this has happened to me so many times. You put an idea out there and it's attached to the wrong name. So people are like, oh, that's a bad idea. Why? Just because the person in the other party said it, look at the idea. That's a good idea.
Nobody does that, Rob.
Nobody does what?
I look
What
at
I just said?
Yeah, we should do it. I
Oh,
agree with
okay.
you. What I'm saying is I agree with that.
Okay, all right,
We
all
should really scrutinize ideas and align ourselves with the ideas, not necessarily the people, but in American society, you know, we look at the shiny things.
And I think some of this is just human nature too. There's tribalism there. But I remember in like 2021, 2022, Nikki Haley tweeted, hey, we should have cognitive tests for presidents. And I was like, I retweeted, I was like, yeah, we should. We should have age limits too. Right? We have minimum age limits. There's lots of places in society that have maximum age limits, not just physical professions, you know, like firefighters, police, but lots of churches have age limits for clergy. The Iowa Supreme Court, once you turn 72, you're all done.
I know some black churches that need some age limits. I don't know about, listen.
But I look at this and I'm like, and so I had a lot of Democrats be mad at me because they were like, President Biden is old. These age limits would mean that he can't run again. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Take that out of this context. Don't you think that cognitive tests are a good idea and age limits are a good idea? Well, but that's not the point. No, that is the point. If Nikki Haley's the one saying it, I'm just saying I agree with her. And if it was somebody else who was a Democrat saying it, I'd be saying I agree with them. We have to take away the impulse to just agree or disagree with an idea based on who it comes from. It's a dangerous impulse. And it stops us from doing a lot of things that could be good. It also raises our suspicions. It's like somebody's going to do something. It's actually not that bad of an idea. But a lot of people will come at it and kind of go, I don't know, because the person who's advancing it, they're really, really bad. Goes back to the government efficiency thing that you brought up earlier. Donald Trump is going to do this. He's got Elon Musk and Vivek on board. I hope they do good things.
Okay, so
hold on.
There's more.
There was another question in your question that I didn't get to, which
Remind me what it was.
It was bringing people in the auditor's
galvanizing
office
diverse political thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think this is important too. So when I got in 2018, one of the first decisions I had to make was who I'm going to hire as deputies. That's the two highest positions in the auditor's office. And despite being a Democrat, I picked an independent and a Republican who had made campaign contributions to my opponent.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't care that they made those contributions, right? I mean, do I care? Like, yeah, a little bit. But like, what is my higher allegiance here? My higher allegiance is to serve the state of Iowa. And I can't serve the state of Iowa if I'm not serving independents, if I'm not serving Republicans at the same time that I'm serving Democrats. It's everybody. And so to zoom back out again, I don't want to be, and I don't feel that I am, a Democratic state auditor. I'm the state auditor. There's nothing about this that should be partisan. And so we do a lot of work to try to make sure that our decision-making bodies have diversity represented in them in the sense of that political diversity, because it also helps us make better decisions, right? Because when we're sitting there together trying to figure out what to do with the situation, we're not asking, well, what's good for the party? We're not asking, well, what's good for so-and-so's career? Because we don't necessarily agree that that particular party is the one we want to advance, or that person is the one we want to advance. And so we ask the questions that should get asked. What did we do in this situation 5 years ago? Right? What does the law say? What did the contract say that was governing how we spend these funds? Because we have disagreements, and so we focus on doing our job, which I think is one of the reasons why in my first term, we actually uncovered a record amount of misspent money. Because we were very much focused on just doing the job. And like I said, turning over the the tables of the money changers if that was what was necessary.
This is cool because it's this type of open mind that I feel like we need more of in our government agencies and structures. Running for governor is a big step. It's a huge step. So what's stopping you from entertaining the idea?
Well, previously it had been that I didn't have to be thinking about it because it wasn't until last week. It was like, well, there's another election in between here and there. So we'll get there in terms of the thinking and the deciding. We're not there right now.
Okay.
these are complicated decisions. I think a lot of us, myself included, we look at people who are in politics, right? Like, I'm a human being, right? We look at people who are in this stuff. And I think we oftentimes imagine, because we can probably name a couple of people who like had it all plotted out, right?
Yeah, they were groomed for the path that they took.
Right.
So you're not being groomed or anything. Is that what you're saying?
I am a kid from Decorah, that sort of stumbled my way through life, and I think so far made some pretty good decisions. Not perfect, but I'm trying to continue to sort out my way and sort out my decisions in life. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not an awful lot of power in the Democratic Party structure in the state of Iowa.
Not at all.
But
somehow Thomas Vilsack did it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit because you say you're a kid from Decorah. I've never been, but I've seen pictures and it's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like hills. The hills are so pretty. I do want to go. Somehow you stumbled your way into being a Calvin Klein model. Is that true?
Well, no, not Calvin Klein.
Oh, my bad. Wrong brand.
Audited.
Okay, you were a model though. Yeah,
I was. That was a strange career.
I'm trying to figure out how you did it,
job.
Eating pizza like that.
Metabolism.
Oh, okay.
It was a strange career. I did it while I was in college for a couple of years. Per hour it pays pretty well, and so it was definitely one of those things. It's like, look, I can mostly work on my studies, focus on college, but also go somewhere for a week or for a weekend and make a little bit of a healthy chunk of change. So
yeah,
it's a very strange place to be, in a very interesting world to have a window into. My first job was catching chickens.
Shut up.
Yeah. For technically capons, so they're castrated male chickens.
Oh, that sounds bad.
Well, bad for them.
I know they were running
delicious
fast.
for us. And they're not running. It's not like the scene in Rocky where he's chasing a chicken around as his exercise. Like, you're pulling a big truck into a big barn, you turn out the lights. They can't see very well, and so you walk up behind them, grab them by the legs, and give them to the guy in the truck. And of course, the only thing they can do when you've got them by the legs is, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
They piss and shit.
They piss and
that's
shit.
their last line of defense, right? So you go home and you're covered in chicken shit. So that was my first job. Very different world.
It's hard to imagine you covered in chicken shit and then modeling.
Well, I took a couple of showers in between.
Wow, what an interesting glimpse into your life. What else? What else have you done?
Well, my second job was working at McDonald's.
Oh, you too?
Yeah.
I say that because...
You also?
No, Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
She said she worked at McDonald's, so...
You can ask my friend, my high school classmate, Scott. He still works there. He's the manager, I think, in Decorah. But we started together.
I worked at a fast food restaurant for 2 weeks, and they were like, you're not cut out for this.
Really?
Yeah.
Which fast food restaurant?
I don't want to say it was Popeyes, but it was. It was Popeyes. They were like, no, you're not built for this.
Huh.
I said, I know, but I need a check.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I left.
I worked there for a year, probably. And then I worked at a little local internet service provider back when we had those, called Salamander. Never heard of it. Yeah. It was a Decorah internet provider company. That's a phrase.
Do you ever feel, I mean, that is a colorful background. Mm-hmm. And thank you for sharing some things that would help us understand what shaped you. Mm-hmm. And I know that's just a little corner piece of your life, but thank you for sharing. Do you ever feel misunderstood by the public, or that people might not really understand you as a man, as a human?
There are certainly people who have put tremendous resources and tremendous time into deliberately misrepresenting who any political candidate is, right? And so that does apply to me. And so, yeah, there are people who definitely, this is a run for office twice. You're going to have people who don't look past the D or the R.
Right.
And prejudge you for all kinds of things. But the bottom line to me is, I know who I am. My family knows who I am. My friends know who I am. And what other people think of me I don't really often let bother me too much.
That's so refreshing. You have a beautiful wife and
I do.
A couple of kids.
And brilliant too.
Are they? I know they are. I know their dad. Like, duh.
Well, I was talking about my wife, but my kids are pretty smart too. I want to keep them focused on being hardworking.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about your family and what that means to you, because I don't think often enough we hear about a person's humanity, about the parts of them that keep them motivated, wakes them up in the morning. So tell us a little bit about your family.
So Christine and I met at a backyard barbecue through a mutual friend. It was wonderful.
I love a good love story.
I remember her walking into the room.
Wow.
She was wearing kind of a boxy green dress, and we were kind of standing in a circle, and the circle sort of widened but became like a keyhole shape. Like she didn't step all the way in. Very graceful. And her dress had pockets in it, which I was instantly like, okay.
He noticed the pockets.
I noticed pockets.
Wow. Okay.
I think this is the second time I've said this. I'm super practical. Like, I don't know how you could wear clothing with no pockets.
Yeah.
And so when she walks in and she's got pockets, I'm like, right. Because what would you be if you weren't wearing pockets right now? Like, where would you put your stuff? I guess you can carry a thing, a bag. But
can I just interject in this love story? It's probably highly inappropriate, but... Pockets for everyone, 2026.
Pockets 2026.
Just saying.
All right. So we got to know each other a little bit. It didn't take that long, once we started dating to figure out that was it. And our boys are 8 and 10. They're absolutely wonderful to hang out with now. I like to say no diapers, no naps, no teenagers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. They're in that sweet spot where they're just lovely humans.
And we paid our dues to get here, but here we are, and life is sweet.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Rob, for sharing that. I have a copy of your book, The Winning Ticket: Uncovering America's Biggest Lottery Scam. What a read.
Thank you.
What a read.
Thank you.
And I want to just share a brief excerpt, and I'm sharing this for a couple of reasons. As I said a couple times here this morning, I am interested in the humanity of a person. Yeah, you have a really cool job. You're an interesting person. I'm curious about what you're going to do in the future. Yes. But Rob the man is who I'm most interested in. And so this passage spoke to me. It grabbed me. And so I want to read it and have you kind of explain or expound. Okay. The Winning Ticket: Uncovering America's Biggest Lottery Scam. Rob Sand. It all piled up to this. One day I described myself to someone with the words that I had always used. I'm happy. I'm a happy, optimistic person. But as the words robotically came out, they turned in midair and stared at me skeptically. It used to be a true statement, and for the first time, it felt like a line. And I knew what had changed me was the work I had been doing, getting up and going to the office every single day, only to walk back into the darkest, dampest, dirtiest corner of human nature and spend all my hours there was changing my perspective on the world. Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
When I was at the Attorney General's office, we talked about the fact that I uncovered this lottery rigging scheme. I prosecuted a lot of financial crime, public corruption. But I prosecuted not just violent crime, but sexual offenses and close to 24 sexually violent predator civil commitment cases, where we are taking the absolute worst of the worst, typically pedophiles and psychopathic serial rapists, and getting them committed to a treatment facility when their prison terms end, rather than letting them walk free, because we have good evidence and an expert that says that they're likely to continue to offend. And when you do those cases, they're a civil case, and so you can have the person that you are trying to commit testify, and you have them describe all of their offenses. And when you're doing that, you're often sitting closer than this to them.
Yeah.
You're at usually the Newton Correctional Facility around a very small table. And in those cases, as well as in other cases, violent crime, a murder, robbery, you're just spending all of your time rooted, and you're debating what the law is. You're talking about the impact of the law and the facts, but everything you're thinking about is still rooted in those acts. And for me, right, that just wasn't where I felt like that wasn't the right place for me to be long term. There are a lot of people who have the gift of being able to do that for decades and have not changed them, right? And I didn't have that, and I wanted to maintain that sense of happiness and not so much happiness, but maybe optimism more. And so to me, I thought, I don't know that I can keep doing this. I think I need to find something else where I can have more of a positive impact as opposed to just trying to mitigate bad things all the time.
Amazing. Well, I have a deeper appreciation for your perspective, the work that you've done leading up to who you are now, and all of the things that have shaped you, your bravery in writing this book and sharing like really vulnerable parts of you. Do you have other books forthcoming?
No plans.
No plans? Doggone it. I hope there's something else coming because you're a really good writer.
Thank you for that.
You're a really good writer.
I did have a co-author. I know the thing to do if you're in politics is just put your name on it and have somebody quietly co-write it. But I put Reed's name on it because he helped. And
well,
why
he did
not we
okay
just be
too.
honest, But the funny thing about the book is, when I was growing up in Decorah, my dad's from Decorah. His parents are from Oshen, right outside of town. So we got lots of grandparents, aunts and uncles all in the neighborhood. And so we would spend a lot of time, sitting around the dinner table telling stories. And that was a big piece of my upbringing. And so as I'm working on this case, I hit a certain point where I was like, man, I got to start writing these stories down. Yeah. Just these little vignettes of things that happened each day when something crazy happened. And at a certain point, I looked back at these little memories I was writing down, and it was like 35,000 words in the document. And I was like, man, I just got to do a little bit more, and we'll turn this into a book. And so most of it is that writing. And Reed helped a lot with structure and stitching it together. And then there's a chapter in there about Flatonia, Texas, where the mastermind, Eddie Tipton, grew up. And he went down there to write that chapter. But it was fun to work with him, and I appreciate that. I enjoy the process of writing. Yeah.
Well, as a writer myself, I know good stuff when I see it. So congratulations on writing that book. And like I said, hopefully there's more to come sometime in the future.
And as long as we're talking about it, I should say, you don't have to take our word for it that it's a good one. The Washington Independent Review of Books actually named it a favorite read of the year.
Yes.
So that was nice. Feather in my cap.
Absolutely. Well deserved. Well deserved. Rob, wow. So our time is coming to an end here momentarily. And I mean, I kind of want to just sit in this moment because I think it's really important. You will provide my listeners with a bright spot in a time of uncertainty. I think you radiate this honesty and light that we so desperately need in our world. And I appreciate that. And thank you for that. As is my tradition here at Black and Privileged in America podcast, I always ask my guests to recommend a book or share a book that you are reading or have read. I mean, I ain't going to be mad if you suggest your own book.
I was not going to do that.
Well, what's challenged you?
I may have already, but I have a different one.
Okay, go for it.
And this is, my wife is a much better reader than I am. She reads voraciously. And so oftentimes I pick up recommendations from her.
Okay.
But one that I read recently that I really enjoyed was Help Wanted. It's a novel that just came out, and it's about people who work together in kind of a logistics area. So they don't work for Amazon in a distribution, but they work for sort of an old school retailer that, has logistics and distribution as a big part of their work for filling the store and having the store be ready for when people walk in. And it's the story of their lives. It's the story of their friendships, their thoughts of each other, their culture, their community there at their job. And I just thought it was a story really well told. And frankly, one of the reasons I really liked it was I don't think we do enough to tell the stories of ordinary people. I don't think we see it often enough in TV or in movies or in books. And what I really liked about this is there wasn't, a lot of times we'll see like this ordinary person did this extraordinary thing. It's like, this is just ordinary people doing ordinary things. And to have that be lifted up and opened to help people build empathy and appreciation for the fact that these are very intelligent people who have plans, who have dreams. I just thought we need more of that. And it was a well-written book that I thought did a good job of doing that.
Help Wanted.
Help Wanted.
I'll put that in our show notes.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. We've had today on the show on Black and Privileged in America, none other than our state auditor for the state of Iowa, Rob Sand. All around good human. And I, again, hope you see him the way I do, as a bright spot in a complex, complicated political landscape. Thanks for listening. Keep striving. Stay encouraged. Don't give up. See you next time.